Hey, what's up, traders? This is the watch list video for Wednesday, April 13th. Reminder, the market's closed Friday, so we got 2 trading days left in the week. And you know what? Hang on one second. All right, sorry about that. I like to put this up so y'all can read. I want to make sure people that are watching this video, because I have to remind myself there's always someone watching it for the first time has no idea what I do or what we do in the chat room. So there's the answer right there. None of these are investment ideas. I make my money from the opening bell to the closing bell, and then I'm in cash every night. So there's I sort of said the summary of it, but there you go if you want to pause it and read that. So anyway, let's go back to the daily on the SPY. Another kind of ugly day. We gapped up, but then sold off. So the market feels pretty weak. For a long biased trader like myself, there was not a lot of opportunities today. I do want to show you ATNM, which will be on the watch list for tomorrow, but I mean, think about this. 33 million traded, right? It gapped up, and it had a range from 577 to 749. Pretty good range percentage-wise. And after all that, closed about where it opened. Don't you love it? But anyway, there were a couple ideas in the chat room. When it looked about like this, I gave the idea to the room, what about, or I said, does anyone else like ATNM 650 second mouse? It had gone up and hit it here. The high of day was only like a dime above. So it's a half number inflection point with the high of day above, and short's in trouble because this thing gapped up and sold off, right? And so generally when this happens, it doesn't make it back to high of day, right? When something gaps up, shorts are usually in control all day. So on the occasion that it does come back up, you can get a little squeeze. So anyway, the idea was through 650. Now, here's the funny part. There's the 650 break, and it happened in a blink, and within, let's see, these are 5-minute candles. So within, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, it was up about $1. The funny part is I missed it. It happened pretty quick. I could have had it. I hesitated, and then I didn't want to chase it. So I did not take a trade until it touched the 520 here. I called it 5's buy zone. The market's weak enough, and things are coming down farther than usual. So instead of bidding mid-5, I bid at 641. And that was about the low of the pullback. I think I was underwater about a dime. It went to 631. And then I sold above 7. So it was a neat little trade. I'll slide this over. I took a screenshot. And again, this right here would have been the first entry I called, and I missed. Still made decent money, though, just buying the 520 touch, selling through the whole number, straight out of our bounce play free webinar in the bounce play section of our course. So that was the last trade I took all day because I just didn't find anything in the afternoon. ATER did run late in the day. Somebody in the chat room pointed out you could have had it before it broke the high of day. I'll show you that real quick here. I can't remember, maybe Nixie. I'm not sure. I'll have to look. But anyway, he pointed out that, hey, this has got great relative strength. It's already on the watch list. Yesterday's high is above. So if you did take the high of day break, get a neat little move. And then in after hours is even going further. It's trading at 530 in after hours. So I'm not always in on the money that's to be made in the chat room, but there's usually somebody posting an idea. So if somebody finding the relative strength and putting out ideas, so on. Anyway, what are we watching for tomorrow? VERU had the big rip yesterday. Today gapped up but sold off. Lower volume. It's still above, I would say, just by glancing at this, above the middle of its 2-day range. I think it's still worth watching for a 3rd-day play. I'm going to put Twitter back on bounce watch. It's getting close to that area between the 8 and the 20, that middle zone there, which would rest right around the 13 EMA, which a lot of traders use, which is why I like the middle of the buy zone, right? Anyway, Twitter's getting down to a potential bounce play entry, but only with the proper intraday setup. BWV, just another red day. This thing, it's fallen from 60 down to 6. I'm seeing a lot of this, though. I'm seeing some charts that just aren't bouncing at all, and it's a little weird. Usually you get a nice snapback bounce, and I'm not saying you won't in this one, but it's weird. It reminds me of, and so anyway, I'm going to put this on bounce watch. It reminds me of this one, ITME, which I've been saying, let me rephrase that, IMTE. I don't like getting symbols wrong because symbols matter. Reminds me of this one in that this thing fell from over 38, which I'm not saying it should have been 38, right? It ran from 6 to 38. You don't generally see something go straight up and straight back down. But I've had this on bounce watch for a few days. and I'm just going to keep it on bounce watch. It's certainly now down to support, and you can't see it on this chart, but at the 200-day as well. That's just bizarre action, though. Usually you would have seen a bounce before now, so I'm a little leery of it, right? But anyway, I'm going to keep it on bounce watch because whenever I have something on bounce watch for 2 or 3 days, I can't not put it on bounce watch until it triggers and fails, triggers as an entry that we teach, or just, goes so far down that it's not even worth watching. I don't know, but I am going to keep it on watch. All right, NRGV, another example of a stock just topped out at 22 and just straight down off a cliff. I did get a nice bounce after it got below 13 today. But anyway, I'm going to put that on bounce watch. A lot of things have just been really decimated to the downside. BTAI. This one's weird because it had what sounded like really good news this day, and it ended up ripping and then reversing. And now what? Like 4 more days down in a row, and you look to the left, and there's certainly some support around this area. So even though you got some bag holders from this day, that was big volume that day, we are nearing support, so I am going to put it on bounce watch. I'm not certainly in love with that daily chart. BBAI, kind of a neutral day, but it's in play because it's a recent high flyer and kind of inside day to day. Again, when I say neutral day, closed about where it opened, but I do want to keep that on watch. It held up pretty well in a week tape. Talked about ATER already. I like the daily. Certainly looks like it's got room to run. The 200-day, which oftentimes can be a target, can act as a magnet. The 200-day, you can't see it on this chart, is at $6.17. And let's see, it's 5:38 in after hours now. Certainly worth keeping an eye on tomorrow. I think I heard on the News Squawk that Reddit is calling this a top short squeeze candidate. So I think that's what ran it late in the day. All right. Anyway, EVTL had a big pop. I think it was Nigerian's final trade on CNBC's, what is that called? I haven't watched that in years. Fast Money or Lunch Money. I don't know what the hell it's called. Anyway, and it really got some legs, but I think somebody in the chat said it was already running before that. I had to step away midday for a little while. And there's the intraday. I watched it trade, by the way. It is very whippy. I haven't traded it, but anyway, at the end of the day, you still have 18 million shares and a big rip, although closing well off of its highs. Certainly moved easily today, but at the same time, it was very whippy. And then ATNM, I talked about this one already. I don't know what you look at that and you say, well, there's no winners today, right? Longs and shorts, it ended up closing where it opened. But it did have really good sounding news, complete with an upfront payment and future royalty payments. And it's a fairly low float stock. So I do want to keep this on watch tomorrow. We'll find other gappers in the pre-market. I'm done babbling. I'll see you guys in the chat room in the morning.